Hi all, and welcome to Nightmaring with Crazy Moo. As you can see, we're changing things up. This is how I look, my face, and that is because we're starting a new series. We are looking at the 2005 horror series, A Haunting. So what is A Haunting? Well, it's a series that is half horror, half documentary. What the series does is get people in who have experienced the supernatural and makes them retell their horrifying tales. Then gets B-grade actors in to reenact the story. So this episode is called Monster in the Attic and involves a young Morgan dealing with a ghost who has a grip on her roommate. So this is the part of the episode where I talk about the actors and how they've gone on to superstardom. Only, I couldn't find a single credit for any of the actors in this episode. Seriously, there is a woman they interview in this who, honest to God, has more credits than any of the actors. So without further ado, let's encounter the monster in the apartment. Holy shit! Evidently their goal was to make me shit my pants at the start of the episode.
In this world, there is real evil.
People who don't eat ass.
In the darkest shadows and in the most ordinary places.
Like Walmart. I'm Australian as well, I don't have a Walmart here.
These are the true stories of the innocent.
Look at this fucking bitch. Look at... You wanna watch me wanky old coot?
The unimaginable. Edmonton, Canada.
Ah yes, Canada, where all the funky cabbage comes from. So the episode starts with Morgan in a new town for a new job. She has no lifelong friends there, and really no other connections, so she decides to move in with her co-worker Bob. Immediately, it's revealed that Bob is in fact a Wiccan and enjoys lighting candles throughout the house. Whatever gets you off.
He was very outgoing, very friendly, and we connected right off the bat.
Oh yeah, Morgan's also an amateur musician. How come every musician I know is homeless? So a little bit about Bob. He has a wife and kids that are never shown in the episode and seems to be a little bit depressed that he can't meet his wife and kids. So they invite all their boring work friends over to have a boring dinner where they drink wine. And serious, they were being very generous when they casted these actors. Slowly and surely though, supernatural things start to happen around the apartment. Like all of a sudden the key's not working in the lock! I mean, you gotta jiggle it. Just put it, jiggle it! So Morgan decides to go outside and see if there's another way she can get in the apartment, and then comes back just to line Bob up for a jump scare. Morgan tells the viewer that she starts hearing weird things in the middle of the night. And strangely enough, these weird things are coming from Bob's room. I mean... strange noises come from my room at night as well, but there's nothing supernatural going on. Bob also seems to hear weird noises and is woken up from his dreams of his mother, it seems, by this supernatural entity. Huh? Bob tells Morgan the next day that he believes there's a spirit in the house, and that it is in fact a young boy named Joseph.
Many Wiccans believe sacred objects focus and strengthen their prayers.
Look at the sexy sizzle of that candle. Morgan tells her friend that there seems to be something supernatural happening in the apartment. And wouldn't you believe it, her friend just happened to record a supernatural program the night before, starring none other than Lorraine Warren. Lorraine Warren is a very interesting woman. She actually handled the Amityville horror case and also the haunting in Connecticut. The Conjuring series is actually based on her, and she is a prominent character in them. You might... Whether or not you believe that she actually is a psychic and communicates with the supernatural or is a fraud is completely up to you. However, in a haunting, she is more than willing to accept a paycheck. Morgan comes back to the apartment and notices that Bob is trying to light one of his candles. It is a very special candle, the candle that wards off evil spirits. But, shock and awe, the candle will not light! Put some kerosene on that bitch, it will light up. Not being able to light his candle, he gets angry at Morgan and storms off. But real tragedy strikes. Bob finds out he has cancer, forcing him to retreat even more into the company of Joseph. Slowly Bob changes from this fun-loving guy to this temper tantrum of a 2-year-old. Morgan decides to go out on a friendly date with a co-worker. She confides in him that there's some supernatural shit happening around the house. Her date tells her in the most condescending way possible that the supernatural doesn't exist, and uses it as a way to get into her apartment and allow me to demonstrate. But to his horror, he can't light the candle at all, and then the candle explodes. Well, at least one of those two is exploding that night. Then Bob shows up very angrily, and basically cockblocks the co-worker. It's at this point where Bob's character starts to really change. He starts talking more to the boy in his room, because of course it's natural for a grown adult to invite a child ghost into their room and talk to them all night. Who in their right mind honestly just chats to the ghost of a child in their room in the middle of the night? Her co-worker/boyfriend explains there must be a scientific explanation, but she explains that when she was a child, she in fact saw a ghost. Or someone left a very bright light on in the bathroom. It looks like the opening from Close Encounters of the Third Kind going in there. Maybe she was abducted by aliens. Oh god, that is the brightest ghost I have ever seen.
Just forget it.
Here's this guy that's supposed to be my friend, and he A, doesn't believe me, and B, is just being, completely unsupportive.
Morgan seeks the help of the one person she knows will understand. Stephanie believes they can capture the disembodied voice of Joseph.
There's a lot of talking in this episode. Her friend explains that they should ask the entity some questions, and then listen to the recording, only there's nothing on it. They have no idea what to do, so they reach out to the only source that will help them, Lorraine Warren, and she is good for shit. Jeez, Lorraine, can you give us a little bit more than a fucking phone call here? If they offered her like $200, she would have been down there in a shot. But then we get to one of the most horrific moments of the episode, while putting her friend to bed. The door opens by itself, and then closes. Multiple times, and this terrifies the shit out of him. Morgan goes to the church to get some spiritual help, and what the pastor tells her is to put up crucifixes all throughout the house. And serial killer Bob is not happy with that. So he just appears out of nowhere, gets pissy, and then walks off. And then suddenly in the kitchen, the unthinkable happens. The ghost hits her in the head with a plate. So things start going crazy, and Morgan gets the fuck out of that place. She goes to her boyfriend's house and stays the night. She decides that she's no longer going to live with Bob, but she has to get her things. Luckily, her boyfriend has a very cunning plan. He waits until Bob goes to work and then rings her and tells her the apartment is empty. That's his cunning plan. But imagine her horror when Bob is actually home!
Going somewhere?
So yeah, Bob gets angry and tells her to leave, basically. But then, horror upon horror, she actually sees the demon! And I'll give credit, the effects here are pretty good. It does look kinda scary. It's a shame that they waited till the end of the episode to show it. So Morgan sees the demon and gets the fuck out of there and never sees Bob again. Seriously, they just say that Bob showed up to work for 2 more weeks and then disappeared. She has no idea. She runs a website now, though. Yeah, really. She runs she runs a website, Hunting the Supernatural, with her friend. I wonder if they've encountered any doors that open and close. So what do I think of this episode? I love the atmosphere. The music, the special effects, and the lighting really come together to create this tight package that really draws you in. The acting is subpar, but I don't really expect much more from actors that have only that as a credit. Yeah, as a documentary, it doesn't really work. It seems a little bit too sensationalized. But as a horror series, I think it could really work. It draws you in. It's a lot like The Fourth Kind, where they have the documentary footage and the movie at the same time. Only, the documentary isn't full of actors. So what will happen next week? Will we encounter possessed squirrels? A courtroom full of cabbages? Tune in. Bye! But lucky, one friend is willing to move in with her. Recently deceased Bob. Recently deceased Bob.